I'm back. How are you?
I'm good. I feel like there's a little echo. Maybe not.
Do you hear anything? Am I echoing?
Maybe not.
Do you want me to leave and come back again?
No, I'm not hearing it right now. So I think we're okay.
Okay. I love your glasses.
Thank you. They're
they
a little bit bigger than my usual style. But I have to tell you this really cool shit that you're gonna love. Kate already knows about it.
Okay.
So I live with these people who like do direct action activist shit, and Davey works for the greenhouse warehouse. And so like a week ago, a guy shows up and has been staying at our house all week, and they're working on this big action that I know it's like a need to know basis, right? But I know that it involves somebody climbing a crane, scaling a crane near the White House and hanging a banner. And I know a number of people who are involved in the action in terms of like who's going to chain themselves at the bottom of the crane so they can't remove, they can't send anybody up to get the person down, and who I've heard a little bit about it, but it is kind of like need to know basis in terms of like you don't ask a lot of questions unless you're involved in the action, because everything is like a security risk, right? So you just don't. So I haven't been asking that many questions, but they were out all weekend practicing, and this guy Al has been around every night. Like we've been watching the Olympics together, and I guess they've all done those kind of action camp things where they trained people how to climb so anyway, they leave the house at 2 a.m. this morning. And I found out who it was. Oh, wait, now I have to just wait a second. Yeah, let's see. Maybe I can actually even share the sound.
Wow. I know so much about sharing things now.
Yeah, so you can see that. Yeah. So
breaking here at the live desk, you're looking here at a crane near the White House in D.C. where a man has climbed to the top and unfurled a banner. We have learned here in just the last few minutes his name is Manuel Oliver. He is the father of Joaquin Oliver, one of the 17 people who was killed 4 years ago today in the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. I want to bring in a live shot of the White House here as well. His protest is a demand for action on gun violence. President Biden just out with a statement in the last hour saying in part that his administration is working to end gun violence and that he's asked Congress to pass a budget that provides an additional $500 million for ways to do that. All right, breaking here at the live desk,
Isn't that cool?
That's who was at your house?
That's who they were training to go up there.
Oh my God.
Was this dad. So
God bless him.
I know.
Whoa.
There he is. That's the dad.
Good for you, sir.
Exactly. And he had just
We Joe Biden a month ago. Never got that many. Now I'm back to his question. How you gonna have to do?
You can't hear him because the wind's so bad, but
oh my God.
I know.
Wow. Oh God.
I know that guy. Here's a picture of him coming off and getting arrested, of course. There he was. Are you still seeing my screen or no?
No, I was waiting.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I think somehow it got.
Oh, wow.
There he is getting arrested at the end.
And why would you even want to arrest him?
He was up there for 5 hours.
Oh my God.
And his wife was down on the bottom, I guess. I don't know if I'm sure there's a better spot of him somewhere.
Well, we know he's going to be on the news tonight, so I'll be watching that.
Well, I don't know if it will be or not.
No? Well, it fucking
Oh, there's NBC, Washington.
Okay. Oh, wow.
I think that might be my house guest.
And what happened to him? Do you know? Was he arrested as well?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything.
That's a great piece of artwork right there, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's like a block away from the White House.
You know,
I think he went up at 4:30 a.m. He wanted to stay up for 5 hours was his personal target.
it must have been so cold up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, that sweet man and his wife are going to spend the rest of their lives honoring their son by bringing awareness to that. And we're all fucking aware of it, which is so.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you know.
Oh,
just,
you're making me cry now, Dana. It's just so, I mean, I guess I couldn't help thinking of him this morning. Like how the fuck did I end up here on top of a crane next to the White House? Like, how is my loss, my
Yeah.
devastating loss turned itself into this? And that,
yeah, I mean, he turned his like unbelievable pain into action. And I can't even imagine how hard that was for him just to get up off the fucking floor.
yeah.
I mean, you know, to have come to where he is now. And
Yeah.
it's hard to believe that it's only been 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me sick to think that, I mean, when we went to school, that just wasn't something that we ever thought about.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I never would have in a million years. I mean, a bomb threat, well, actually 12 of them in Korea, but you know, that was just kids that didn't want to go to school.
Right. Right.
I just can't even imagine the horror. And I think about our kids. God, when your kids were in, when you guys were in Indonesia, did they ever do any type of training or anything like that?
Oh, yeah.
Or did they?
Oh, for
what did
terrorist attacks, because my daughter was in kindergarten when 9/11 happened. So, you know, active shooter, intruder alert. I mean, they were doing those kinds of, like we did, you know, tornado drills. That's what they did.
Yeah.
You know, and the kids all learned to like close the, you know, the shades on the windows and hide under their desks and all that stuff. I mean, it was.
I just don't ever remember my kids doing any of that. I don't think they did that in our school district, which in a way I'm grateful for, you know, because, you know, I remember tornado drills. I remember things like that, but I also remember, you know, like when I was in high school, we lived really, Carlisle Barracks was 27 miles from 3 Mile Island. And the meltdown happened at that time. The evacuation radius is like 30 miles or something. We missed the evacuation radius by a matter of miles. So none of us ever had to leave. But I always remember thinking, you know, I was just like, geez, this is horrible. And now this is what I'm going to have to think about for the rest of my life.
Right.
Is, you know,
Right.
What is, so yeah, it's a whole generation of kids that have had a completely different experience than what I have.
Yeah.
And an experience that I feel like is there, you know, you need to be prepared to have the shit scared out of you.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
Well,
I mean,
God,
besides all of
man.
that, I just thought about like the infrastructure that allows him to bring that dream to fruition.
No shit.
So,
Where the
I
fuck
mean,
did that crane come from? Whose crane is that? Is it Greenpeace's crane?
oh no, it's a crane. It's a building crane that, I mean, they shut down whatever that crane was doing today.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that
it's an active
giant building that was going up.
Yeah, no, it's just
okay.
a building that's, it has some crane
So
work
how
on
did
it.
how do they get around the locking mechanism at the bottom of a crane like that? Because they have like
they've been scouting it for weeks. I don't know how they did it, but they've been planning this for a long time. And so I know, I mean, I started hearing about it a couple of weeks ago. They were scouting, they were trying to figure it out. They were, you know, going in the middle of the night and looking at,
How
all
did-
that kind of stuff.
So obviously
It's probably
he-
just that you can't, that a human being can somehow get into it, right? Because most human beings aren't trying to to get around
Yeah.
whatever the locking mechanism is.
Yeah, obviously, they trained him to climb around the locking mechanism.
Yeah.
So how did this guy meet up with the Greenpeace people? How did they connect? What network of people?
I don't know how. I mean, I think it's just these activist groups are connected enough, and there's the folks in DC that are supported to commit, committed to supporting direct action, and Greenpeace is one that has like the equipment and the
Yeah.
so I'm sure at some point, it just, like anything, it's like people were talking, and you finally kind of figured out. I don't know how long it's been in the works, in terms of like that dad's idea to do that.
Yeah.
Like, or
Well,
even if
4 years is, that's 4 years worth of high school right there.
yeah,
That's a pretty, when you think about that,
yeah,
bless his heart.
yeah, I know.
Good for him. I'm glad he did that. I really am. And I'm so sick and tired of, I cannot believe that there are as many guns in this country as there are. It shocks me every time that I think about it.
Yeah.
When I'm just like, God, we should all be absolutely terrified of that. And if we're not.
Yeah. And you remember, my kids were in high school when Parkland happened, or my son was, and I remember, the huge student walkout that happened the following day. And even my office overlooks the Catholic high school, the Catholic boys high school. And we watched all the Catholic boys march out of school at like 3 p.m. or whatever. And hundreds of kids from my kids' high school walked out and walked downtown. And there were it was weeks upon weeks. And of course, the big gun march when those kids came to,
I remember.
DC. Yeah. That was one of the bigger marches that year when the Parkland students came.
And yet.
Yeah.
It just still stuns me that there's.
That it kind of just floats away and you don't think about it until the next thing happens. Yeah.
Because the gun lobby is so incredibly powerful, and people, don't see, they're more afraid of the government overthrowing them and taking their guns. I'm sorry, it's so alien to me, the whole thing, and I grew up around that kind of, I grew up on military bases. Granted, it was before 9/11 and military bases were open at that point. You had to get through, you had to go through the gate and you had to identify yourself. And, but yeah, that just to me it just seemed normal, but it's different than going to live in a civilian world where this guy that wants to take you out for beers says that he's got 3 AK-47s in the back of his truck. And I'm just like, oh, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, where they're so easily available. That was in Virginia. Like you could get an automatic weapon within 2 miles of my house in Virginia.
Yeah, there were gun shops everywhere in the South. It was shocking. Yeah. And I just remember my dad saying, when we were young, he didn't keep weapons in the house. He had a World War II pistol that belonged to my grandfather after he died, and that was locked up. But he said, guns are weapons of war.
Yeah.
I've had enough of that. I don't want that in my house.
Yeah.
And we were like, fine with me.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. But God bless that man. I'm going to watch for him on the news tonight and I'll cry.
I hope that it makes the national news.
I do too.
I'm guessing there'll be something on the national news because of the Parkland anniversary, but
yeah. Well, on another note, I laughed really hard when you sent me that picture of the tiger ball.
The tiger bum.
The tiger bum. So every time I cannot think about Tiger Balm without thinking about the story.
Okay, so what happened? Because I know you put Tiger Balm in the wrong place, and it you cannot wash it off.
It was after. This must have been 1980, 81, and it was So I hung out all the time with my friend Jane, who was my best friend, and Betsy Bella, who was, her family lived at RGH. They didn't live on the main base with us, so we all had to ride buses to get to one another. But Betsy was dating Kevin Kelly, whose dad was a big time diplomat and his mom was Korean from Seoul, from a rich family. And so they lived in, you know what those big gated places look like the really narrow roads that go up the hill to Yongsan, and like towns all the way up the hill. And so they lived in one of these gated compounds, and we spent all of our fucking time there drinking ginseng and smoking pot.
Drinking ginseng.
Like they had this big fucking cylinder with a giant ginseng root in it. And it was so nasty. His big brother Patrick, who was very, very attractive, I will say, was he would always lift the lid and dip his cup in and put it back down and drink it. And it was the worst, foulest tasting shit, but God, it gave you the best little zippy buzz. But one day Jane and we were coming up to visit, and came in the back gate, and Betsy's sitting there. She stayed there all the time. She's sitting there with like this towel. She's sitting on the sofa, and she's got this towel across her lap and nothing else on underneath it. Her legs are kind of spread. And we were like, what are you doing? And she said, oh, Kevin and I were in the bathtub last night, and we were really getting into it, and we wanted something to spice it up. And so we rubbed some Tiger Balm on our genitalia. And not exactly how she put it. And she said, and then we fucked. And I was like, oh, you put Tiger Balm on your pussy and then let Kevin fuck you?
I was going to say, yes. Anybody who's done that, I don't think that there would be a positive report about that.
No, she said that's why she was sitting there with her vag airing out with the towel across her lap.
Had this happened in the last hour or two?
Well, we wouldn't have arrived until the afternoon because, you know, we were young and it was then. So it happened sometime in the evening before, because Jane and I had been there the afternoon
Oh my God,
before.
and she was still feeling it the next day?
Yeah. And Kevin, I was like, where's Kevin? And she's like, he's got ice on his balls.
I know. I have to say, like, Indonesians would always talk about, guys masturbating with Tiger Balm. And it would be like, and then like learning the lesson. It was like, have you not put that shit anywhere on your body? Like, do not do, like, what were you thinking? Because even like you put it on, on your neck and then accidentally touch your eye. I mean, who hasn't done that? You're like crying for about 6 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So we were, Jane and I were just in stitches about it. And the great thing about that is
Spice it up.
Kevin and Betsy got married a couple of years after that, and they are still together, and they live in Austin, Texas.
Oh, well, I hope you sent her the Tiger Balm thing. Kiss my Tiger Balm.
But I'm going to. Thank you. Oh my God, that's so funny. I will do that. Yeah, I just think it's funny as
I don't think
shit.
actually I didn't let me show Kate what it is. Let's see. I put it on. This artist is a Kiwi artist who must be around 25. And you will like her other work too. She did all like Asian snacks, but in like Asian pride messages. So here's the White Rabbit. Remember the White Rabbit candies, Dana?
I love this.
With fuck white supremacy. Be proud of your culture. Proud POC for the Pocky snacks, which were always my kid's favorite. Here's the Kiss My Tiger Balm.
Love it.
And then I like this one too, the Proud POC Pocky with a little angry monkey on it.
Little angry.
And then this one's sweet. More than one lived flavor.
Oh, neat. Yes. These are great.
The artist's name is Good Bad English.
Those are,
I love
I
them.
love stuff like that. Oh, and the other thing that I sent you that I told Kate this when we were watching the Super Bowl. I sent you that text message about the thing that Peter said.
Oh yeah, what did he say about
when
those
we were
guys?
watching. So you guys were watching snowboarding together, right?
Yeah.
And so Shaun White comes to the end of his run, you know, and he's all emotional and everything. And they're showing how they show their families, and they've got the camera set up so that it's looking at the family and his dad. And Shaun's not that tall, so I don't know how tall his dad is, but he was right in front of the camera, like at the very
I do
front.
remember that. Yeah, he was right in front,
Yeah.
like this. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way that he was sitting, his legs were spread apart, again with the spread legs, sitting on the chair, and Peter's just looking at it all, and he goes, Jesus Christ, would you look at the block and tackle on Shaun White's dad? And I was like, oh my God, he does have a bit of a thing going on there in his shorts.
That's what the Aussie man notices, huh? We're all like crying, like, oh, he won his whatever Olympics.
I know, that's what I thought.
Oh my God, the block and tackle. I haven't heard
He's
that
just
that term
checking
in a
out all
while.
the crowd, you know, and looking at stuff. And granted, it was front and center. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I do remember that his dad was sitting there on the couch, but I did not notice the blocking tackle myself. But
well, Peter did. And then I looked and I was like, oh yeah, there's something happening there.
that is hilarious. Oh, that is so
those
good.
are my 24 hours. Those are my stories worth of
Yeah.
dicks, balls, and poor little sad badges.
Poor little badges with their Tiger Balm in them. My sister, there's a Tiger Balm product. It's not actually Tiger Balm brand, but it's basically Tiger Balm on like a Band-Aid strip.
Yeah, I've got
and
the Chinese
they
version of those.
Yes, Salon Pass is what it's called, and now you can get them at like CVS and stuff. But back in the day, she just like she would come to Indonesia and she would like literally bring like half of her suitcase would be these things going home because she loved them so much, and because you didn't have to get it on your hand, you could just like rip it off like a Band-Aid and stick it on. She would wear those all the time.
Yeah, I slept with one on the back of my neck the other night. My friend Xiao Chen gave me a bunch of them that she brought back from Taiwan, and they are amazing.
Awesome. You love them too, huh? And then they don't smell as much either, right? Because they kind of have something over the, like you get the heat, but you don't get that like.
Yeah. And they have some kind of a numbing agent in it too that is lovely, because my neck hurts all the fucking time.
Does it?
Oh yeah. You live your life too hard. What was it I said to the massage therapist? She said, so what do you think is the problem? And I'm like, let's see. Roller coasters, horses, cars, falling down. I mean, you live your life and shit happens, you know?
Yeah, I guess so.
Been whiplashed about 5 times. Yay.
Okay, well, shall we get going?
Let's do it. By the way, what have you got over your shoulder there? What is that red piece of work?
It's a weaving that my mom made in the 70s. It's like all shaggy and stuff. Like it's a weaving, and up at the top it's shaggy. And I had the calendar that Kate gave me up there, which was still on December, and it was February 14th. So I was like, well, maybe I should see what else I have. So I pulled that out. Really? I'm still trying to decide whether I like it or not, but it's
vibrant. I like it.
I mean, I like the piece of artwork. I'm not sure if I like it over my shoulder.
Well, you can actually, I mean, I don't know how much artwork you have there with you, but you can always swap it out for a weekly curate.
Yeah, I could. It's not that big a space. And I have my favorite artwork that I used to always have behind me is over there, my Arwin Hidayat, but that's over my bed, and my office is still in my bedroom. So
yay.
Yay. Yay.
Are you still how long do you think you're gonna stay in the group home?
I don't know. Still thinking it through.